Season of Plunder saw the doors opening up again to the Eliksni Quarter, the suburb of the last city set aside for our House of Light allies. Guardians who made their way there to trade with Spider, chat with Misrax and Ido, may have also seen that the quarter has changed since last we were there. One of those changes, tucked off in the corner, are some gardens, or rather, small plots of land used for gardening. Here you can see Eliksni tending their crops, working away. But what are these gardens for? What are the Eliksni growing? What kind of food do our four-armed allies like to eat anyway? Welcome back, Guardians, to another Embrace Destiny video. Kaz PhD here, with a fun little investigation into something exciting and new happening in the background of our lovely shared world. Whether you've noticed or not, Bungie has a history of adding little details in-game which tell a story, try to give depth and life, and sometimes even foreshadow what's to come. In today's video, we're going to explore one of these details, the Eliksni Gardens, to not only speculate on what's to come, but gain a better understanding of our recent allies. We'll begin by examining the lore on what kinds of food the Eliksni eat. Then we'll take a closer look at the gardens, the quarter, and the current status of our story to see if that provides any clues. Finally, some speculation, discussion, and our outro. As always, full video transcript and short notes are included in the description below, and should you wish to add to these discussions, I often workshop them in my Discord and Twitch channels. Links also below, check them out. We'd love you to join us. The most obvious and likely answer to what the Eliksni are growing is food. Now wait a minute, Kaz, I imagine I hear you saying. Isn't ether food for Eliksni? Well, yes. The best description of ether comes from Scribe Ido herself, from the House of Light. During Season of Splicer, when the Eliksni Quarter was first established, we learned that ether is food, but also a means of supporting biological function within our four-armed friends. Ido compares ether to hormones, a supplement, but not their only food source. With the proper amount of ether, all Eliksni grow to look like captains, but without it, they remain underdeveloped. Ether is also a processed material, not growing naturally, but synthesized by servitors. So while it's possible that the gardens are for ether, it is more likely that they are used for something else, like food or other organic material. Weaving is a common practice among the Eliksni, making food and such from different materials. However, while this is mentioned often in a few lore books, such as Achilles weaves a cocoon, it seems unlikely that the gardens are for this purpose, especially when we consider that there is likely plenty of other material elsewhere to use for weaving. Food! I hear you shouting. The gardens are for food. When investigating food in Destiny, there is no better person to turn to than Cheese. For years, she has been curating and expanding her Soups Up Guardian database, listing all references, mentions, dialogue, lore, cookbook, and comic entries of anything regarding food in Destiny. It is an incredible resource, which not only points you in the direction of the lore, but provides context clues regarding the state of biology and ecology in Destiny. And it helps when you make little videos investigating cute updates like the Eliksni Gardens. So please check out her links below. You'll be amazed by what food survived the collapse and be glad you followed her. So thank you for the assist here, Cheese. What did you find?
As the lore of Destiny has progressed, we have gotten a few glimpses at what Eliksni eat and drink, what they can share with us as an alien species, and how it may relate to a history that has become defined predominantly as pre- and post-Whirlwind. One of the first things I think of when thinking of Eliksni and food is the Arvirsi fig. It first showed up in the entry Misrax, part of the lore book The Dreaming City from the Forsaken expansion, where Misrax imagines how his mother will react to his capture by the awoken Sure Ido.
She will twist and tear his arms from his body like she is shucking a fine, fat crab for dinner, and he will be glad of the slow, sick cracks and crunches of his bones. He will be glad of the shame. Let him go limbless for the rest of his wasted life. Let the ether thirst shrivel him up like a Yaversi fig.
This was in 2018. It would be 2 years for it to reappear in the game, not in a lore card, but in an easily missed comment from a fellow exile. Introduced in the 2021 Dawning event, where the story revolves around Saint 14 wanting to share in the human tradition of exchanging baked goods and sweets with friends, Kel's dough is described as being a, quote, delicate pastry dough fit for a Kel, used in traditional Eliksni recipes. The young wolf is tasked with acquiring it from the spider, and the end result being treats intended for the Eliksni quarter and its hatchlings. The quest does not idle in the mention of Kel's dough for very long. The event is ripe with puns and is meant to be lighthearted. But I've had a lingering thought about it, that this was a recipe that had to have been purposefully preserved through the whirlwind and throughout the years after. Had it been kept in some database by a house scribe or Kel, despite not having any use for survival? How had it changed over the years to suit the changing realities of Eliksni? Does it now use ingredients from Earth or the reef instead? Did Eva also think about the similarities of her helping with a treasured meal like this that had been snatched from the jaws of darkness like many of her own recipes? There's a quote I like from author Michael Pollan. Food is also about pleasure, about community, about family and spirituality, about our relationship to the natural world, about expressing our identity. As long as humans have been taking meals together, eating has been as much about culture as it has been about biology.
I would give another arm for a ripe Yavirsi fig.
Alone on Europa, Varix thinks about fruit. There's a longing to his voice that makes me imagine it died with Reese. Another casualty to the darkness, now only alive in the imaginations of the post-whirlwind generations. Much of Varric's character beats are wrapped up in this feeling that Reese is not dead, but dying, slowly fading in the minds of their people. Maybe a fig is an apt metaphor for this. In the eyes of older Eliksni, scattered and alone, scarred by trauma and loss, all they see is the rotten fruit. Meanwhile, in the last city, old traditions are remembered and reborn as something sweet and warm to share and enjoy with new friends. Death, as an inevitability, is never shied away from in Destiny, even among Guardians, but there is an immortality found in the way food and recipes are presented. Whether it's Varix remembering the taste of a long-lost fig, Eva lending you her oven for the dawning, or the Eliksni holding on to a recipe for dough for hundreds of years, there is a shared legacy in food that even the darkness can't take. Thanks, Kaz!
Fantastic research, and well said. Thank you, Cheese. So, we have a lot of potential ideas, given what we know of the Eliksni's preferences and history. A closer look at the gardens themselves does not reveal much. We see a watering can and some Eliksni using some simple gardening tools, but not much tells us about what exactly the Eliksni are growing. The only other clues we have are tangentially related, such as looking at the future of the Eliksni quarter. The Compass Rose lore entry details a conversation between Ikora, Zavala, and some Guardians. Here, Ikora discusses her hopes that as the Eliksni better integrate with humanity and move more into the last city, that the Eliksni quarter would become a kind of learning annex, a place to exchange ideas, language, and culture. So, perhaps that, in a roundabout way, gives us a clue. Similar to Cheese's insights regarding the sharing of meals and recipes, it seems likely that the Eliksni and humanity will continue their path of sharing ideas and culture. With that in mind, the likely answers to what are the Eliksni growing in their gardens could be answered by whatever they need to serve themselves and to support the integration with humanity. Perhaps they focus purely on their own survival, staying independent and capable of supporting themselves. Perhaps they focus on the nature of trade and grow whatever they believe could be of the most value for them in their interactions with humanity. So, food we like, or material for cloths and weaving. But the more earnest and, in my opinion, most likely answer is a combination of the two. Yes, the Eliksni are survivors and a very inventive and practical people. But they're also a very communal people. They understand the value of family, collaboration. This was evident on their homeworld, has been evident even among our enemies, the Fallen, on their catches, and has been a clear part of House Light's goals since arriving under the shadow of the Traveler. In a way, cultural and material exchange will be very good for both parties. The Eliksni can not only bring their inventive approach to technology to humanity, but a renewed understanding and appreciation of the Traveler. More so, a sense of community that may be lacking in the last city. With the factions gone and most Guardians unable or unwilling to spend time down there, community is often something that can feel lost or shrivel up, much like the Yavarsi fig. In the end, I know I'm not alone when I say that it was exciting to see the growth and progress of our Eliksni friends. Not only does it add to the immersion of the game to see these kinds of updates, it also helps to feel like the story and our world are not only moving forward, but together. While the main focus of our Guardians' journeys are often out there, dealing with threats and discovering wonders among the other worlds, many of us have been hoping for continued progress with our people back home. Whether it's the rebuilding of the old tower, updating dialogue and seeing changes to the helm, or seeing progress with our Cabal and Eliksni allies, many of us appreciate Destiny as a living, growing world, and are hopeful for more in the seasons and expansions to come. What do you think? What are the Eliksni growing? Is this a part of Destiny you care for or not? Be sure to leave your comments below. I want to offer special thanks to my friend Cheese for her part in the research and creation of this video. It was her first time working on something like this, and she did great. To all of you out there, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Apologies, my videos have been spaced out, but I'm really just enjoying my time in Destiny and other games, and only putting out videos on topics that really grab me. If you'd like to hang out more, be sure to check out our Discord and Twitch communities, links in the description. I'm live most nights, and I'm currently exploring Dragon Age. In any case, thank you so much for making it to the end. As always, I hope that you be safe, be kind, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.